Thanks everyone for being very punctual. I remember as a kid I was in New York City and there was a bus driver who said it's never good to be early. So I'm holding to that. So we're going to start right on time. I'm Ishmael. I go by Ish Salgado. I work at Foundation for the Carolinas. I support the Charlotte Executive Leadership Council as well as the Beyond Open Small Business Grant Program going on the Corridors of Opportunity. I'm here to introduce our wonderful panel for this session. Thank you all so much for being here. This is our last session before lunch. I know the subjects are starting to talk, so I'll go ahead and get started. So Marcia Colson, right here to my right, serves in the role of Associate Vice President of Workforce and Business Development at Central Piedmont Community College. As part of her tenure in higher education, Marcia has been with Central Piedmont for 15 years in the former roles of Employer Relations Specialist, Director of Graduation, Business Administration Instructor, and most recently, the Associate Dean of Business and Accounting. We have Reginald Bean, serves as founder and managing director for White Label Management Group, a data-driven talent pipeline management and workforce development consulting firm headquartered here in Charlotte, with a mission to increase access to work and employment opportunities for traditionally underemployed and marginalized individuals who are considered hard to serve, including non-college bound high school students, resettled immigrants, veterans, individuals with disabilities, justice-involved citizens, and those in recovery. Darren Ash serves as the full-time executive director at The Rock at no salary. Darren has helped initiate several nonprofit organizations focused on economic mobility. His main role is to connect student participants to the construction industry in the form of mentorships, apprenticeships, and permanent job placements. Darren, thanks for being here. Dr. Lucille Joe is a senior social services manager with Mecklenburg County. Her commitment to inclusivity, equity, and the cultivation of diverse talent is evident in the innovative programs she has developed and implemented to help individuals receiving public assistance to reach their employment goals. Sherry Jones is Workforce and Career Evolution Manager for the City of Charlotte. In this capacity, she collaborates with 21 different departments to create apprenticeships, implement on-the-job training initiatives, and foster career mobility, benefiting over 8,000 employees and the broader community. Her professional impact extends to regional and national publications, where she has authored articles covering topics such as networking, apprenticeships, and internships. And Jennifer Dukes is the Accelerated Career Training Program Coordinator at Central Piedmont Community College. She provides focused career training for over 150 adults per year. She previously spent 8 years teaching English overseas and coordinating educational and career training programs as a team leader. And with that, I'll take it over to Marcia.
Thank you, Ish. So thank you all again for joining us for this wonderful panel this morning. This is your last panel of the morning, and let me just tell you, I'll already say it will be your best panel of the day. As you see, we have a large panel. This is a great topic. It's a hot topic here in the city of Charlotte. When it comes to removing barriers, access to education is important. And so this panel today is going to share with you some things that they are doing to remove some of those employment barriers and increase access to education. So let's get started. All right. So first off, I would like to ask them all to tell us about the work that they do and how it increases access to education here in Mecklenburg County. And I'd like to start with Darren on the very end.
Hey, I'm Darren. I run a nonprofit called The Rock. It is led by the construction industry, and our goal is to train, mentor high schoolers in the industry. We are integrated into 6 Title I high schools. I think the main barrier we are removing is that the high schools shuttle the students to us during their school day. And when they get to us, we do 3 things. We obviously teach the trades, and we do that in partnership with CPCC. We focus on the highest paying trades: electrical, mechanical, carpentry. The second thing we do is we go really deep into job readiness, soft skills. We have an entire staff for that. And then the last thing that makes us very unique is we're the only state-registered student learner program in the state, meaning we put 16 and 17-year-olds in the field the way they do in Europe. with a culturally relevant mentor. The companies pay them a good wage over the summer, and that keeps them very motivated for their track. So that's what we do. Thanks.
We're just gonna keep it going? Yes. All right, got it. So, hey, good morning again, everybody. Reggie Bean with White Label Management Group. And the thing that we do, we actually work to increase access to employment opportunities for what we call untapped talent. And so that oftentimes the barrier is access to information. And so in fact, all of the folks on the panel are our clients or our partners, right? So think about the work that Darren does or the city does or the county does. Oftentimes that information doesn't flow all the way through to those communities in which we serve. One of our larger clients are housing authorities across multiple states. So here in Charlotte and Livian, so you think about the panel before, it was talking about access to digital equity. And so oftentimes companies post those opportunities on websites with the assumption that they have access to that, to that information. And so we take that information and push it out, but we do most of our work through collaboration. So we are what I call a capacity extender for organizations on the private side and on the public side.
So my name is Jennifer Dukes. I work with the Accelerated Career Training Program, which is one of our programs at Central Piedmont. But we focus specifically on unemployed and underemployed adults and providing them with short-term workforce development opportunities. So we kind of work within the college, all of the different departments, to provide about 10 different career pathway opportunities for our students. We provide them with scholarships, not just to cover the cost of tuition, but to cover a lot of those additional costs that people don't always recognize may be costs and barriers to taking part in those programs. And then we also work with our students to do a lot of personal management, a lot of working through their individual barriers, a lot of that kind of barrier management and connecting them to different resources, both at the college and throughout the county, so that they're able to not just enroll in the program, but successfully complete the program. And then we try to connect them to different employment opportunities once they complete.
Good day, I'm Sherry Jones, and I am with the City of Charlotte, the Office of Workforce Development. And we do so many varied things. So we work with the 21 different departments, as well as the 8,000 employees that the City of Charlotte has. And what we do is work on developing registered apprenticeship programs, career training, academy internships, and co-ops. So that's bringing the community in so that they can be skilled up and gainfully employed. We also work with all of the employees regarding internal mobility, which includes career coaching, bringing even awareness to the other opportunities that are in the city. Because within those 21 departments, we have over 300 occupations. And we don't want our employees to leave, so we give them that chance to have that awareness of what else is out there within the city that they can do. We also work with the community and our community partners to bring awareness to who we are as an employer. We do training internally as well as within the community. So there's a robust things going on in the city of Charlotte. My team also manages the tuition prepayment program, which has been a game changer, and I'm sure we're going to talk more about that in just a moment.
Good morning. I am Lucille Joe, and I work with Mecklenburg County Department of Community Resources, which I formerly work with the Department of Social Services. And what I do is I oversee teams of social workers that provide job readiness and support services for individuals receiving public assistance. We have our Food and Nutrition Employment and Training Program, which provides job skills, training, and opportunities for individuals who are receiving SNAP benefits. And we also have teams working with our Work First recipient. These are individuals who receive a monthly cash assistance, and the goal of our program is to help those individuals obtain the skills and training and give them the wraparound support that is needed for them to secure employment. And we take the holistic approach, meaning we work with everyone in that household, not just the individual or the head of household. We have social workers that are aligned with CMS. We have social workers that are assigned to students in K through 5, 7 through 8, and high school. And with our high school program, when you're a junior or senior and you're receiving work first cash assistance, you have a social worker assigned to that family to make sure that those students graduate from high school and that they have a career plan in place when they complete high school.
Thank you all. Thank you all. So, as an educational institution, Central Piedmont is often looked to for talent. And many times employers will reach out to us and just say, hey, you know, do you have students who are ready to enter the workforce? And sometimes, and oftentimes the answer is yes, we do, but sometimes there are challenges with some of those students. And so I would like to ask our panel, and I'd like to lead with Dr. Joe, what are the challenges, needs, and opportunities to support some of the hidden talent that may be out there?
And what we do with our programs is that we work closely with the customers that are coming in and working with our social workers. Social workers do a holistic assessment to identify the needs of those individuals. And a lot of time what the challenges are, some of them come with barriers. And not just some of the barriers that we are known of, like transportation, childcare, and housing. Those can be barriers that are clearly identified and easily observable, where you can put services in place. But some of the biggest challenges are those barriers that are hidden, which could be trauma, whether they're having some mental health issues that may have never been diagnosed. And when we start talking with them about education, skills training, some of them have went through the public school system and have been scarred, traumatized by being in classrooms. So one of the good things I say that Mecklenburg County does with their workforce development program is that they do have social workers who are trained in workforce development. So you have individuals who are able to identify these barriers and have the skills and training to encourage, uplift, motivate, and actually identify these barriers and put resources in place to address them. A lot of the barriers I see from customers, or that my staff see, is that internal. They're their biggest barrier, themselves and how they feel about themselves, how they perceive the world, how they perceive organization and education and training. And just in some cases, how do they perceive people who work? They may not want to work. They may see it, and actually addressing the benefit cliff that is in place when people get a job. A lot of their support services that were in place through public assistance is declines. So we work hard to do that. And one of the some of the strategies that we use, we have our social workers throughout Charlotte. We have social workers located within Central Piedmont Community College. We have them located in our nonprofit organization, and we have social workers that work really closely with CMS. So that way they have the skills of workforce development as they are working with organizations like Goodwill. They're embedded in that staff with Goodwill, but they're also social workers and skilled and trained in meeting and providing that emotional support that customers may need.
Thank you, thank you. Sherry, could you also respond to that prompt?
Could you repeat it, please?
Yes, absolutely. So what are the challenges, needs, and opportunities that are available to support some of the hidden talent?
So with 8,000 employees, and I want to see, how many of you are employers? Okay. And how many of you have a tuition reimbursement program? Okay. So the city of Charlotte has 8,000 employees, and we've done research a couple of years ago and recognized that there are over 3,000 employees that did not have post-secondary credentials. And understanding the things that are changing, especially rapidly, going up towards 2030 with technology, and perhaps some jobs will not happen anymore, or in something that took 4 people may take 2 or even 1 person to do. We did not want to lose any of the employees. We want to retain them. So we found it very important to be able to upskill and reskill them. And having tuition reimbursement proved to be a barrier for many of them, because you have to come up with that money up front, and life happens. You know, maybe they saved the $2,000 for that first semester, but, you know, they need 4 new tires so they can get to work. Someone may have gotten sick. Anything could have happened. And so I had received a lot of those concerns. You know, Miss Sherry, I want to go back to school, but I just can't afford it. Even though I know I'm going to get that money back, it is a barrier for me. And so we redesigned and revised the education assistance policy, which included the tuition reimbursement, and we put in tuition prepayment. And we were just getting into that partnership with Central Piedmont. We have an MOU with it, and recognize that they have what's called a sponsorship department. And so our employees, whether they have post-secondary credentials or not, are able to utilize it up to $5,000 per year, per calendar year, January to January. And we have a list of approved courses. It doesn't have to be in the position that they are in. It could be in any position that the city offers in any department, because we're looking at internal mobility. This has been a serious game changer. Many of our employees have been working for the city for 20 plus years. They never in their wildest dreams thought that they would be able to go back to school. And now they have that opportunity and don't have to come out of pocket. They were not those students in high school that were, you know, earmarked to get those scholarships. They were told they were never going to go to college, but it makes sense to them now because they are in positions that if they did have those post-secondary credentials, they could be in line for those promotions and for those new opportunities. But we are very intentional with this. So we, as an employer, we had also included career coaching because a lot of them don't know what they want to do, and we didn't want it to be like a money grab. Like, take this class, that class, this, oh, we can take this, you know. We wanted to have intention because we want them to start and complete, not start and stop. And so with the career coaching, we do interest assessments to see what careers are really part of their interest, experience, and skill set. And then from there, they can see maybe what course of study they need to go into, what classes they may need to take. And it has been a great partnership, and this is just going to help with retention and with developing a skilled up workforce overall. And it's great for recruitment purposes because there are people that do want to go to school and they're like, I don't know where to start. And this is an employer, as the city of Charlotte, that will also pay for that. And with the partnerships with UNC Charlotte, Johnson C. Smith, and other schools in the region, after they acquire that associate's degree, if they want to continue on, they can utilize the tuition reimbursement at that time to pay for it in that way.
So thank you. So if I may, I'd like to skip down to Reggie to just hear from him and some of the community, like he works with the community and community organizations. So I'd like to hear from him on some of those challenges that we may face in finding that hidden talent, and then come back to Jennifer to ask for you, you work with students who we are helping them overcome some of those challenges. So I'd like for you to answer that same question sort of from a different lens. So Reggie?
Sure, I'm going to choose to go with the opportunity versus the challenge.
Okay.
So for us, our primary work is around, we work with the business community. And so we tend to start with the end in mind and say, well, what are the opportunities that may be waiting for them at the end of that training? And so for us, it's many organizations, they'll train and pray. So they'll get people through training programs and then just hope that they find a job. And so what we do is work with the organizations to meet Sherry and Dr. Joe with the folks that they're working with to get them prepared. We say we'll work with the organization. So the opportunity is to be a little more clear and articulate on what the opportunities are when they finish the training, not necessarily get them through the training and hope that they can find the opportunity.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Jennifer?
Yeah, so we do a lot of that hands-on work with our population, both before they come into our program and while they're in our program and as they're transitioning out. And I think what Dr. Joe said about a lot of that internal is a lot of what's going on inside of them can be a big barrier. That fear that I don't know if I can do this. Most of our students are aware that Central Piedmont Community College exists, but they don't necessarily think it's for them until they find a way or a program that says, oh, well, we'll help you navigate some of this. We'll help you figure out what your barriers are. And so some of the things that we do in our program is even before students are in the program, we sit down and we talk to them about, okay, doing some of that career coaching. What is it that you want to do? How will this help you get there? But also talking through, okay, what are some of the things that might keep you from completing this program? What are your childcare needs? What are your transportation needs? What else is going on in your life? How are you set up financially to be able to undertake this 4-week, 16-week, whatever training? So kind of starting that conversation with them of getting them to think through, okay, what are some of my barriers? We are well connected with both different partners at the college and throughout the county, where if they have a need, we try to connect them to different places where they can get some of those needs met. We can provide them with some transportation assistance. We can connect them to childcare vouchers and things like that. But we also do coaching throughout our program as well to check in with them, to make sure things are going well, to check in with their instructors if problems are popping up, making sure that we're all communicating well together for the success of the student. A lot of also what we do is just navigating the college for students, because they may not know the opportunities that are there at Central Piedmont, or they may have certain kind of preconceived notions of what some of those opportunities are. We have one of our programs is basic automotive repair. And students, when they think of that one, they always think like, oh, I'm gonna be dirty, it's gonna be awful, but then they go to our facility and they're like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Like, I didn't realize a garage could look this nice. So kind of helping them to see, okay, yes, everybody knows IT, we wanna all work in an office, but there are other opportunities that could lead to, a full career path that could provide for you and your family. So just helping to develop and cultivate some of those ideas in them. That's a big barrier too.
Thank you, thank you. So Darren, you work with a slightly different slightly different population, and you're working a lot with youth. So share with us some of the challenges or needs and opportunities you find with those students.
Yeah, I'll be like Reginald, and I'll talk about opportunities versus challenges. So if you look at a typical classroom within CMS, almost 15 out of those 30 kids are active learners. And as y'all know, the schools cater to passive learners who can memorize, who can read. But there is a group of students in those rooms that do not feel smart, but they are a genius in their own right. They learn by doing, they adjust their learning by succeeding or failing. We're just one active learning route. We're a very tough route. It's more like coming into the military, but it is your mind and your hands. And these kids change. They feel smart. They feel like, something is finally speaking to me. So I think that's the biggest opportunity in the high schools is changing the mindset from the old passive model.
Awesome, thank you, thank you. So let's hop up here to Sherry. Let's start with you on this question. So Sherry, earlier you mentioned that the city of Charlotte has a number of partnerships, and the city works with a number of organizations to support talent. So what are some of the unique educational partnerships that you all have that may be impacting workforce outcomes here in Charlotte right now?
So I did mention the tuition prepayment, which is very impactful for our employees. They are able to acquire an associate's degree certifications where now they are seeing the possibilities of being promoted, and many have been coming through this program. As an employer, we've recognized that it didn't impact the bottom line as much as you would think for a tuition prepayment. The cost has been the same as if it was a tuition reimbursement. So it wasn't more necessarily. With the partnership, we have what's called the Success Navigator that is our go-to person that knows who we are as an employer, as the city of Charlotte, and our needs. They understand what our courses, our approved courses are, so that they can navigate the students or the employees to the appropriate advisors. We also work closely with Goodwill, so when some courses, especially for our apprenticeships or our career training academy, are not, maybe those participants aren't ready to be in a college environment or as structured, they can go to do a Goodwill and get the hands-on training. So we really like that partnership, as well as with Urban League. We have a lot of partnerships where we are also sourcing participants for our programs that have been going through training programs, 6 to 8 week training programs, and they're training them up just enough so that they can have an overview of what certain types of roles would do, and then them coming into our programs. And about 90% of our participants come from external partners, where they are, letting their students or their clients know about what we do. We have roundtable discussions where we invite them into the particular departments that have those opportunities so that they can understand what the positions entail. Because if I told you, who knows what a lift station is? Well, we had a lift station, we still do a lift station technician apprenticeship opportunity. And so we had invited them in when we were getting ready to roll it out. This was a couple of years ago, so that they can see what a lift station is, understand what the work is, and they can think of their students and clients and say, you know what, I think that they would be really good for this because they are familiar with this type of thing, or I know they like to be inside and outside, so things like that. And also, through Central Piedmont, we got a certification approved with facilities management. Facilities management is another occupation that is in dire need of individuals, and that has a really strong business background. It deals with project management, accounting, procurement. And so our Facilities Management Professional Advisory Committee and their association, IFMA, International Facilities Management, they put together the course along with Marcia, and was submitted, approved, and is now an offering in the business track at Central Piedmont. So we're doing a lot of things. It's available to any student going to Central Piedmont, but then they can go on, because I know also at UNC Charlotte they have another degree for facilities management. So we're really trying to see how we can have an impact on the community and our employees. I'm an employee. We all live in the community as well. So we're all in this together. And it's about everyone, teach one, each one teach one is what they say. So if one person is not doing well, we have to figure out how we can bring them up, because we all live here together. It's all hands on deck.
Thank you. So Dr. Joe, would you like to share any of the additional educational partnerships that Mecklenburg County may have that are available to our citizens here?
Yes, we have a partnership, again, with Central Piedmont, a lot of the nonprofit agency, Charlotte Area Fund, the Urban League, Goodwill Industries, CEO was the Center of Employment Opportunities. And we work closely with them to provide the training that our customers need to actually succeed. And that having those hard skills and training centers that they can go to is very important. So we make sure that the training that they're getting, that the employers are available. We have staff members on site that do develop jobs, go out and work with employers to make sure that if they're in training, that when they complete training, there are jobs available for them to go into. And we also work closely to ensure that some of them that attend some of the courses that they offer at Central Piedmont to get employment within the county, to make sure that they are onboarded and that they have that still wraparound support services once they start working, because we all know at times starting a new job, being in that environment can be very challenging and difficult for a lot of individuals, especially if they haven't worked in a long time or never worked.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So Jennifer, through the Accelerated Career Training Program, I know that you work with a lot of partners on the completion end where students are trying to get jobs. So would you share with us some of the partnerships that you're involved in?
Sure. Yeah, as an accelerated career training program, we don't work directly with different companies. What we often do is we will connect with the different departments at the college and try to use some of those connections that they have. So for example, our CDL training, truck driving training department, they have great partnerships with both local companies and the city of Charlotte, but also with companies that drive regionally. So we, connect our students to the truck driving training. We allow them to be the ones who connect them to all of the different career opportunities available. You know, we have both our nurse aid and phlebotomy programs, they do wonderful internships with Atrium and with LabCorp. And so oftentimes for our students, those will lead to opportunities of job opportunities of like, hey, we really enjoyed and you did a great job here. We have an opening. Would you like to apply? So for some of our programs, it's just allowing our students to use the training that they're getting and the clinical or the hands-on training that they're getting and allow those to be job opportunities too.
Thank you. Reggie, educational partnerships with White Label Management or White Label Group?
Yeah, so I would say all of you all are my partners. All right, so we work with your CMS, your CMSs of the world, your Central Piedmonts of the world, but we have a unique perspective of partnering with those organizations across multiple states. So we get a chance to see, well, who's doing what well, and how do we bring some of the best practices either back here to Charlotte or take some of what Charlotte does to other organizations.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So, Darren, who are you partnering with down there to get those students employed, get them some training?
So we are industry-led. Our nonprofit board is predominantly industry, and while we have great or collaborative relationships with CPCC and CMS and the county, our job is to deliver a product and stand by that product, but also we serve as a union to protect the product. So we remind these employers that this young man or woman has not had their review yet and that they should be now up to $22 an hour. And they'll stumble around. We go, no. We catch the heat if our product isn't performing, but we expect them to be paid well. So again, industry really has a big say in what we do. Sometimes that creates tension with Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools that, look, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is whether your student gets a job and is making X amount by the time they're 21. Us just teaching a class doesn't matter. It matters if they're moving on. So that's, especially with our county contract, that's what we measure is the pay rate, promotions, et cetera.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So, Reggie, I'd like to lead off this question with you. So, what should employers, government agencies, or community stakeholders consider when they are developing their workforce goals?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'd say most, if not all, organizations, whether it's nonprofit, government, or the private sector, are in a state of optimizing their resources, meaning they're trying to do more with less. And oftentimes in that do more with less, we turn to technology as the solution. Right, so we say with technology, we got a new portal, we got a new platform, we're gonna expand our technological offering to solve our talent pipeline issue. Well, we've heard all the challenges here that some of the unhidden talent or untapped talent have just living day-to-day lives. And so now if we're saying we're gonna push everything to technology, well, actually the customers that we serve, technology has become the biggest barrier. It's either the lack of access or the ability to navigate and use the technology. And so I would say to not have that as their only solution as technology is their only solution, right? So understanding that everybody's at a different point in either having access to technology or their ability to use technology. So the point that I would leave was let's not use technology. Technology is an enabler, but it's not the solution.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to just open that question up to anyone else on the panel who would like to answer or like to respond. Go ahead, Darren.
I would echo that comment because we are seeing connectivity. It's who we know to connect our students to a job. They get lost. If you apply online, you're getting lost more and more. And I think there was an article this morning in the Wall Street. It's still about who you know. And that is a key part of our workforce development solution. We place our kids. We don't send them to job fairs. We don't send them to online applications. We make calls and nurture that because that's where they get noticed. That's where someone in the stands is watching them run the race, or watching or speaking to the HR. I don't see how people get jobs online anymore.
Thank you. Sherry, I think you wanted to respond?
I did. So, we all are familiar with the Chetty report, and what does that say? What is that?
Is for me.
Oh, okay. I can't
You're
see.
good. Go ahead.
Oh, I can't see. I don't have my glasses on.
It was for me. I
Or
got it.
contacts on. I can't see. If y'all can see what I see, you'll be like, wow. So it's all shadows. So with the Chetty report, Roz Chetty did an update on it, and it was talking about social capital and the lack thereof, and that being a barrier. Because, our students, our community, all of us, it's challenging to get your foot in the door without having that in. And so, I think if you do go to a career fair, that if you can pull that hiring manager to the side and speak one-on-one with them, this is something that I've taught even my young adult children, and they've been very successful in doing that, where it's like, do you have a moment? And try and find that connection. Networking. Networking doesn't have to be in an obvious situation. Oh, I'm going to this networking event. Every situation is a networking event. And when you do apply, be very intentional. I wish Alvin Burney was in here, because he says, don't be a serial applicant. And so if you do work with clients or students, tell them not to be a serial applicant. Just like a person that's applying to a position and they read the description and they are intrigued and are feeling like, you know what? This is everything I can do or would love to do. It's just missing my name. I'm going to apply to it. Well, guess what? If your resume is not speaking to that position, why would the employer bring you in to learn more about you? Because just like you saw that description and were intrigued, they should see your resume and be intrigued too. So you want to, be able to match it together. And a lot of applicants aren't doing that. And that is the missing piece. So if you are working with students, clients, if you do internal mobility, because even with our career coaching for the city of Charlotte, for our employees that are trying to navigate, and they're like, I can't believe I didn't get an interview. And I'm like, that's because it probably was your resume. You can't use that template resume. Or I got the interview, but I didn't get a call back. This is internal candidates implying internally. So I know it happens with people trying to get in, but it happens internally as well. When they don't get a call back from the interview, okay, your resume was good enough to get you that interview, but you didn't do well on the interview by answering the questions effectively. And that goes into that social capital, where they feel like they have so much social capital, they don't have to explain as much. Oh, you worked on that project with me before. I don't have to go into too much detail. No, you speak to them as if they've never seen you before. Like, they don't know anything about you, so that they can hear your perspective of how you showed up for that project. That is so important. So as you're training, continuously tell them that it's all about practicing every day. It's not, oh, I have an interview tomorrow, let me look over some things. No, you start now. You, in your head while you're driving, think about what you will say. A lot of people don't do that. They wait till the last minute, and then they wonder, well, I'm not understanding. Or they walk away, I wish I would have said more. So you want to leave, feeling very confident and accomplished. We all have to be lifelong learners. We have not arrived, and we won't. So we have to keep learning and striving.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits of our program is that we do include a lot of that soft skills training. And so our students, they're taking a career, their career pathway class, but then they're also taking that soft skills development class. And that's really essential for them, so that they're able to leave the program not just with a resume, but they've learned the employer expectations. They've learned how to communicate well with those employers. They've internalized some of those things that do maybe hinder them from the workforce. Things like maybe even just access to workforce appropriate clothing for that interview. Things like that really can be barriers. So sometimes just addressing those internal attitudes, methods of communication, things that may hinder them from the workforce that they aren't aware of, that can make a big difference in their ability, so that when they do their clinical or when they do their hands-on partnership with an employer, they're much more ready to make that impression and build that relationship that may lead to a job.
Awesome, thank you.
Can I put a bow on
Yes.
the comment? So I
Yes,
started
go
with some of the challenges that take place with employers and government agencies, but I'll go to the opportunity, right? So I think the opportunity is no one organization can solve the challenge on its own, right? So, shameless plug, that's why you partner with organizations like White Label Management Group or The Rock or others that says, well, here's our core competency is X, and we're going to partner with a Rock to solve this part. So, but I would just encourage the collaboration amongst organizations because, again, no one organization can solve all the challenges.
Awesome, thank you. So at this moment, I'm going to kind of transition just a little bit, and I want to turn it over to our audience. So you have this great panel here. We have any questions for our audience? I saw a hand here in the corner first. Yes.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My question, it kind of goes to what Ms. Jones, how you were saying about they may get the interview, and then after that, it's a possibility of not being hired. So with that being said, I know the county, city, everybody's starting to move to this STAR method of interviewing. But we know when you're dealing with young kids coming in who may not have these certain experiences to answer those type of questions, or we're dealing with people that, trying to get back out there, second chance type thing. Those are kind of, I guess, nerve-wracking. It could be a deterrent when it comes to those type of interviewing tactics. Do you guys offer any other solution outside of the STAR method when it comes to interviewing to help those individuals whose application or resume may suit them for the job, but their interviewing skills just does not get them in the door?
Right. That's a great question. So the STAR technique, I've been using that technique probably 15 years or so. I used to do workforce development in Virginia, and I worked with people that were just entering the workforce, seasoned people, and just all types. Even if it doesn't have to be a paid position that they use that STAR technique, because STAR technique is really about your transferable skills. So it could be a project that they worked on in school. It could be, I know a lot of people that are coming out of the system, they do have some on-the-job training, and even if they didn't get paid or got paid very minimum, whatever, that experience is something they could talk about. They don't have to talk about where it was, what year it was, just do you remember what you did? Not that you were in the building or in the room, but what was your point? What was your part in it? It could be a team. If a young person played a sport and how they worked as a team, the championships. And I see Charlita's back there, and I don't want to talk about the championship game in UNC that our daughters lost by 1 point for the state championship for North Carolina in high school. That's a whole. I'm sorry. So. Yeah, they can talk about how they overcame certain things. It's a lot that people can talk. It's about transferable skills. It may not even be industry specific, but they know if you did something like that, you could do it you could do that here too. We just have to teach you our method of the process of the work that we do.
Thank you. Question right in the back.
Yes, you guys are all doing some phenomenal work, and I'm just so excited to hear about some of the strategies that you are all implementing. But I have a question for Darren. Darren, how is what Rock doing different than what a pre-apprenticeship would be doing?
A pre-apprenticeship?
Yeah, for the youth.
So we feel that we are training someone at age 16 for, say, 9 months to be very useful on a site. So that one thing we would hear in the past is that we're babysitting high schoolers. And, that can only last so long with an employer, that if somebody is out there and they're useful and they can bend conduit and pull wire and actually contribute, where the employer is paying $15, $16 an hour, I think that does make a difference. I think the terminology is the same. We call it an internship because under North Carolina labor law, it can't lead to full-time employment. But the other thing that I think, little things, we spent $40,000 last summer on Uber for our kids to be at work 15 minutes early, because most of these students in, these underserved communities, they do not have transportation. And to throw a bus pass at the kid and expect them to perform hard for 8 or 9 hours a day, you have to honor their effort. So again, what we like to say is they have the best track coach, the best nutrition plan, the best track shoes. They have to run the race. We want somebody at a high level watching them run the race. That's the equity component that we feel is kind of embedded in our program.
Awesome. So I think we have probably time for maybe one more question, or maybe two if they're quick, brief responses. So I saw the young. So go ahead.
Hey, Marcia.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Catherine Mara. I'm the Associate Dean here at Central Piedmont for Hospitality Education, and Public Services. Those programs include culinary arts, baking and pastry, cosmetology, a natural hair care braiding course, horticulture, and hospitality education, which is front of the house, hotel, country club, management, etc. And so my question is, I think listening to Dr. Joe, Mr. Bean, regarding how you support your clients to come back for trainings. How are those trainings selected? How are they encouraged to choose which pathway?
Yeah, for us, we actually start with, I go back to my point, start with the end in mind. So for us, it's driven by our clients. So it's what the clients, so it's the skills required for the job, and then we turn to who are the training providers that we can connect them with. But for us, it's driven by the client. It's driven by the roles that they have open and the skills that are required. I'm not sure, Dr. Joe, if it's maybe different for you all.
And for us, it's also driven by the client. Our social workers, when they meet with them, they do an assessment of their skills and they do a job readiness. We normally send them to our orientation class that goes over job readiness, career awareness, and also they look at their background, what they like doing. They do a lot of assessments to determine what area that student may be interested in. And making sure once they've identified that area of the student, we make sure that they have and clearly understand what a CNA does versus what a RN and LPN does. Okay. So it's driven by the students.
Thank you. So we had last question. It was right here. Sorry.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erica Grace, and I'm an employment specialist at Catholic Charities, and we work primarily with refugees. And so I think a big part of access to education that sometimes can be overlooked, especially for our refugees, is English as a second language. A lot of them do come with great English and extensive work experience and high degrees. Had a couple with PhDs come by, but the hardest thing is that industry-specific English. And so what are the initiatives that are taking place for those adults that need like industry-specific English?
So I can speak to that a little bit. Part of what we do with the Accelerated Career Training Program, we do work pretty closely with Central Piedmont's ESL department to kind of create some of those and allow scholarships for some of those bridge courses that allow them to get that English, that specific language in English, but also they're taking also that career pathway class. So that basic automotive tech program that I spoke of, they're taking those students who are refugees or second language learners, they're taking an English class that trains them in, that automotive language, all of the different tools and the parts, while they're also taking their career class and in a basic automotive class with native English speakers. So they have an instructor who's teaching them specifically what they need to know, but then they're also immersed in a classroom environment where they do have ability to do that work with classmates who don't speak their native language. So that kind of helps build that bridge, and we're working to build that partnership in other areas too, like in IT and in HVAC field, where there is a lot of interest for students who aren't native English speakers, but the demand for those jobs is definitely there.
All right. So with that, we're going to conclude this panel. And so I'd like for you to take a moment and give them a round of applause. This great panel. So thank you all again for joining us for this session. And now you can be dismissed for lunch.